Hello. So, for those of you who've been watching my videos lately, you've noticed that the past few have talked about all these different cities that I've gone to. Uh, Barcelona, Madrid, London, Paris, Prague, etc. Well, what have I been doing in Amsterdam is a good question. Uh, the truth is that over the past 2 weeks, I've had people come to visit me. So I decided I'm going to take a video to talk about their visit, my hosting, and my conclusions as to what are the best places, some really good places to go and do when you're in Amsterdam. Um, okay, so about 2 weeks ago, my mother, stepdad, and brother came in from New York to Amsterdam, and they were here from Tuesday to early Sunday morning. And we hit up a few museums. We went to not immediately, not on Tuesday. Tuesday was more of a settling in day for for everyone to get over their jet lag. But we went to the Rijksmuseum, which is basically the main museum of Amsterdam. It's or at least one of them, and I would say 95% of it is Dutch art. So it's basically Dutch art specifically during the Dutch Golden Age, which is the 17th century. So there is a lot of really good paintings, really good stuff there. Um, a lot of Rembrandts. Rembrandt is uh, the the Dutch guy. They love Rembrandt here. He's one of the best painters in history, and he's Dutch. Uh, he lived in Amsterdam. His most famous painting, one of the most famous paintings in the world, The Night Watch, is in the Rijksmuseum. It's a painting of this militia. Every town in the 17th century had its own, volunteer militia unit made up of just ordinary citizens, but they commissioned Rembrandt to do a painting of them, and rather than just do a portrait of them standing still, as was the norm at the time, Rembrandt he decided to paint them while they're in action. So it's a huge group of people. Everyone is doing something, and it's just a really really great painting. It's my father's favorite painting in the world, so it was really good to see that. I can understand why he likes it so much. Not only is it really well done, but it's a testament to the the strength of the ordinary community, um, which is really cool. So the Rijksmuseum, while it is really good, has really good stuff, is also not that huge. You can go through it in an hour and a half, 2 hours. Uh, so right after that, we decided we were going to go to the Van Gogh Museum. It's the second time I was in the Van Gogh Museum, but once again, it was still great. Uh, and in the Van Gogh Museum, Irises by Van Gogh, uh, it's there, and that just happens to be my mother's favorite painting. So, in a span of one day, in about 2 hours, I saw my father's and my mother's favorite paintings in the world for the first time, which was really cool. I had no idea my mom even had a favorite painting, but it's Irises by Vincent van Gogh. So that's just a really cool museum. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a Starry Night, which is probably his most famous work, but it is very in depth. It has hundreds and hundreds of Van Goghs. So if you really like the painter, that has to be a must see. Even if you are apathetic about it, you should probably go to it too because he was really good. Maybe you'll learn to like him. If you don't like Van Gogh, you probably shouldn't go to the museum because most of the stuff there is indeed Van Gogh. So, also in that area, Museumplein, is the famous "I am Amsterdam" or "I Amsterdam" sign. Um, there are multiple "I Amsterdam" signs in the city, but the one that's in that Amstel commercial in America, or probably the most famous one, is the one that's by the Rijksmuseum and the Van Gogh Museum. So if you want a good photo opportunity, go there. You can climb up on that museum. It's all at your. I mean, not the museum. You can climb up on the sign. It's all at your own risk, but you can really go crazy. It's really fun. My family decided to do a canal cruise. I had already done one of those, so they spared me from going again. But those are really fun. I definitely suggest doing one of those if you're in Amsterdam. Um, you really realize how connected the city is through the canals. It's almost like another alternative to roads, except not all of us have boats. But if you do have a boat, you can you can travel as you would with a car. It's really cool. Of course, we went to the Anne Frank house, which was that was the first time actually that I was at the Anne Frank house, and it's it's heavy, very in depth. The you are literally standing in the same places that the Frank family stood um, 70 years ago, and the and also another surprising thing is that if you're not familiar with the story of Anne Frank, um, the Frank family was forced to hide during the Holocaust, during the Nazi occupation of Amsterdam. They hid in the factory uh, of the that was owned by the father. There was a secret annex, a secret 2 floors, two-story uh, attic that they hid in. But it wasn't just the Frank family of 4. There was also another family of 3 and another man. So it was 8 people hiding in a 2 floors, very cramped space. It was but you go through everything. You go through the factory part. You go through the part where they lived, and you get to see some of Anne's writings throughout the museum. There are videos from the people who helped them hide out, from their friends. Uh, it's very, very sad about what happened, but they also did a really good job at remembering, at helping to remember, because there's a saying that if you don't remember the history, you're bound to repeat it. So they did a very professional, very classy job at keeping this memory alive so that it never happens again. Um, so that was heavy, but it was very well done. It was very good. Once again, you have to go there. You have to go to the Anne Frank house if you're in Amsterdam. Uh, so another thing that we did while my family was here was go to coffee shops quite a bit. In Amsterdam, of course, it's marijuana. Smoking marijuana is decriminalized. So if you're gonna come here, you should probably take advantage of that. And what my family did, we uh, we went to a few different coffee shops, uh, you know, and we enjoyed the lifestyle. It's a very relaxed lifestyle. And a few videos ago, my brother came on here on my computer and mocked how I do my videos. That's okay, you know. I have no problem. He's absolutely right. I'm repetitive. I only have basically a general outline of what I want to say in my head, and then the rest is just improvised. So when you do that, there are going to be a lot of so's and a lot of ums, um, just like that one. So that's so. While they were visiting was when he did that. That was about 2 weeks ago, and overall it was just a really good trip. Uh, and I'm glad I was able to show them around. I'm glad that they had a good time. We hit up a lot of the museums, and it was a success. This past weekend, I had other visitors, not my family, this time my friends. You've heard throughout the semester about going to see Ryan, Brooke, and Joanna. Well, now this time it was their turn to come to me. I played the host. So, uh, coincidentally enough, in my last video, I talked about how I forgot my passport on my way to Prague. Well, Ryan, I'm not perfect, but Ryan made the same mistake. He forgot his passport on the way to Amsterdam, so he came a few hours later than he was supposed to. Um, the four of us, first night, decided to go to a sex show because that's another. The red light district is just another crucial part of Amsterdam. You can't really understand the atmosphere and the casualness of the city if you don't go through the red light district at least once. So we went to the red light district. They got to see the sex workers, not prostitutes, sex workers, and then we went to see a sex show, and it's interesting. Sex shows are interesting. I wouldn't. I would definitely recommend going to see it. Would I personally go do it again? No, except I did. I had already seen the sex show, but because I was hosting, I saw it a second time. It was better the first time, for sure. I already knew what was going to happen. And the people that were doing the live sex, I don't know. I don't know what they were going for. Were they going for, normal looking people that look normal so that we would feel more connected to it? I don't know. But they probably need to get better looking people. AKA, they definitely need to get better looking people at the sex show. But everyone, my group, Brooke, Ryan, Joanna, I think that they found it interesting and they are glad that they did it, but I don't think we would ever do that again. It's definitely something you should do once, though. So we were all tired from that, so we called it kind of an early night. The next day, we went to the Heineken Brewery, which is another thing when you're in Amsterdam you got to do. They do it. It's so well done. It's basically a museum to brewing Heineken, which happens to be, even before I came here, it was one of my favorites. But since I've been here, it's developed into probably my favorite beer. I really enjoy it. So that's my beer of choice, and it's really cool to see how it's made. Once again, I've already done it. So that was the second time I was in the brewery, but just the process, the scientific process of heating and mixing all these ingredients, it's definitely worth checking out. And of course, you get free beers at the end, so that was a plus. After that, I took my friends to a coffee shop because once again, you can't do Amsterdam if you don't at least try a coffee shop. It's part of the experience. Then we just relaxed for a little bit, sobered up. Then we went to the Anne Frank house, and once again, for the second time, I went to the Anne Frank house, and the same. Nothing had changed. They had a good time. It's definitely powerful. And then the second time for me just really emphasized, what really happened, the tragedy that happened. That was the Holocaust and the Nazi occupation and World War II for that matter. It's a tragedy. So every time you go there, you just you realize more and more how terrible it was, and there used to be a time, there used to be a world where people were forced to hide in an attic, which I guess that still goes on today somewhere. It's terrible to think of what humans are the negative things that humans are capable of. So that's what I learned from my second trip to Anne Frank house. After that, we got ready. We drank a little bit in my room, and then we went out. We said we were another part of the Amsterdam experience is the nightlife, the club scene. We went to Melkweg and Leidseplein, and had a great time. There were two rooms. DJ in the first room was playing really good house and dubstep music. DJ in the second room was playing slightly more mainstream stuff, but it was more indie rock. But both rooms were really good. I think we stuck in the dubstep room a little bit longer, and they had a really good time. I had a really good time. They had a really good time. Uh, so the club night was a success. The next day, they had to leave in the afternoon, and we slept in a little bit because we only got back at about 5 a.m. So uh, I took him to Rembrandtplein, which is just a really good area for bars and clubs. Um, so definitely check that out. Uh, if you're coming to Amsterdam, we went to the restaurant there. Then we walked through the flower market, which is right next to Rembrandtplein. That's where it's just a whole entire huge avenue of flowers. So you can buy flowers, tulips. They love tulips here. They love roses. If you want, you can get marijuana seeds and grow your own your own weed if you're bold enough. But that was pretty. And then they had to leave, which was sad. I'm not going to see them again until mid-January when school starts back in Washington. But I'm really glad that they came. Uh, they had a great time. I had a great time hosting them. The same goes for my family the week before. I'm really glad they came. Uh, had a great time hosting them, and just really figured out the main places to see or do when you're in Amsterdam. I'll summarize uh, the Rijksmuseum, the Van Gogh Museum, the Heineken Brewery, the Anne Frank House, Rembrandtplein, Leidseplein, a coffee shop, red light district. Those are just a few of the things. They're definitely, oh, and a canal cruise for sure. There are a few things. Amsterdam has so many things to offer. Those are just a few. If you're here for a few days, you should do as much as you can, and I promise you will have a great time in Amsterdam. Um, there is one more thing. On a day when no one was here, when I wasn't hosting over the past 2 weeks, there was Cannabis Cup, which is basically this 4 day long exposition of weed, and it attracts people from around the world. I went on the first day with me and about 8 other people, and it was crazy. Um, we had smoked a good amount already going into the convention. Think of it as a convention, and so we were pretty high. And then when we got there, appropriately at about 4:20 p.m., when we got there, there was a fog. There was a haze in the air because of how concentrated, how much smoke was in the air. It was foggy indoors, uh, and every booth had you could sample some weed. You can There were all these different methods. There were a lot of vaporizers, and it was crazy. Everyone there was just really really high. I like to say that not only did I have I never been higher in my life, I've never been half as high as I was in my life. It was great. It was a really good experience, really good atmosphere, and just another thing that if you're living in Amsterdam, that's definitely something you have to do. Um, and then the main event of the night was B.O.B. Bobby Ray, who's kind of big in America, American rapper. He came to perform, so we got to see him live. He had a bag that was just full of joints, pre-roll joints, and he was just tossing them out into into the crowd. I don't know if I'll ever be in that position again. Um, and the only thing was that his performance was pretty high energy, and then I was just so blazed that I couldn't match his energy. I couldn't get on his level. So I would just, bob my head like this while he was just going crazy on stage. But despite my lack of body movement, I really enjoyed the performance. So I thought that was really fun. So the past the past 2 weeks have been really fun. Hosting people, got to do all the touristy things of Amsterdam all over again, and got to see my family and friends, which was cool. Got to go to Cannabis Cup, which was a once in a lifetime experience. And you're probably thinking, when does this kid work? And the answer was I wasn't really working then. now I have to work. It's final season. I have to do some research papers. I have to do some presentations. It's gonna suck, but you got to do what you got to do. So that's what my next few days are gonna be, working on my papers. But I'm in a good mood because the past few weeks, or actually the past few months, have just been so crazy, so awesome. So uh, that's what I'm gonna do. So thanks.